We're back with the Opie and Anthony Show. Want to get right into it. Quentin Tarantino in studio.
Yeah.
And during the break, I went into the green room just to say hi because we're all huge fans. That's an obvious thing, right? And then I find out that he listens to our show. He has XM satellite radio.
Yeah, I got XM.
no.
And I listen to you guys. Not only that, I didn't even know that there was that Best Of channel that you're just on 24/7.
Yeah.
I found that actually last week.
And that's when I knew you were a fan because we'll have people come in, we'll interview them, and they'll go, hey, I love you guys. And then who was it recently? It was Jeff Goldblum. And he's like, big fan. I'm like, well, just name one bit we've done. That's all. Just one lousy bit. And he couldn't come up. He was just trying to be nice.
I can come up with the Louis Anderson on Family Feud bit. How cool is that?
With my father turning tragedy to comedy.
See? That is awesome. You just made our day.
Man.
Who cares about Grindhouse? Quentin Tarantino's a fan of ours. I was telling him in the green room, I'll say in front of everyone, we went and saw Grindhouse last night, Jimmy and I and his lovely girlfriend. My girlfriend was at school.
Nice. It's nice being a radio star.
And I told him that, like, it's tough for me to sit for 3 hours in a movie theater, but it was so easy to sit through.
That's what everyone's saying. It goes by so fast. It's not like you're sitting in a long movie.
Well, it's like, there's a difference between I kind of also don't have a problem with long movies, but there's a difference between sitting and watching some big movie that like takes 3 hours and watching like 2 movies.
Yeah.
This whole like theatrical experience, and that's what we were trying to do. It's like, there's Robert's movie Planet Terror, there's my movie. Got to be so good that you could take those out and they could exist on their own. But putting the trailers in there, we're trying to just give you like this experience of what it was like at the movie. So it's hopefully it's closer to like a ride.
It definitely was.
It's so it must. That kind of thing reminds me of when I was a kid. And you'd go to the movies, and it was such an experience, and those trailers were bigger than life and scary and kind of like adult-oriented, titillating,
Oh, God, no, I remember actually going, somebody asked me, I actually had to think about this. What was like the first Grindhouse movie I ever saw? What I'd officially call that, and you actually just triggered something in my head right now. It was the Doberman Gang, and my grandmother took me to see it. And now the Doberman Gang was an exploitation movie, but like kids could see it. But the one that it was playing with was a movie called The Twilight People, which was like this Filipino a horror film, sort of like an Island of Dr. Moreau, and Pam Grier was in it, and she was like the Panther Girl. But it got me thinking that while I'm watching the movie with my grandmother, there was a bunch of trailers in the middle, and one of them was for one of my favorite women in prison movies, The Big Birdcage, also with Pam Grier. and I remember it was like the women are fighting, and this is one of the first times I ever saw this in my life. Women were fighting, and all of a sudden Pam Grier throws this girl on the ground. The woman calls her a nigger, and Pam Grier steps on her face, and she goes, "That's Miss Nigger to you."
That's fantastic too. When you're a kid watching something like that, you feel like you're in on something so adult.
The Big Birdcage. I gotta see that.
Yeah.
My uncle took me to a movie called "I Drink Your Blood."
Yeah.
And it was these bikers come into town and start hassling everybody. And these kids get this idea. They find a dead rabid dog and take the blood out and shoot it into these pot pies and feed it to the bikers. And the whole movie is then rabid bikers coming after people.
Kind of like
bikers
a zombie.
with rabies.
You know, that is actually a terrific movie. Yeah. I can't believe you saw that when you were a little kid.
Yeah, it was great, man. My crazy uncle took me to see it.
That movie's out of control.
I know. It's sick as a kid, man, And I loved it. I was fascinated by it.
Oh, man, that one shot when he's actually injecting the meat pie with the rabies.
Yeah, and then they're foaming at the mouth, bikers just biting people. Fantastic, man.
Exploitation films, they went away but you brought it back with this Grindhouse, that's for sure.
Well, it's one of those things where it's actually, I hadn't thought about it until like I was going my New York tour. The movie will obviously be playing on 42nd Street, and I was like, holy hell, man, we're bringing 42nd Street back to 42nd Street.
Bringing a little scum to 42nd. A little
Bring
skank.
a little skank back.
We're bringing a little, pre-Giuliani, all right, with 42nd Street going on there.
It's amazing to me.
You almost thought Mayor Lindsay would be the mayor now.
It's amazing to me what you get out of actors too. Like when you see what Kurt Russell does in this, it's like you have this great knack of taking actors where nobody else has seen them go, and he plays stuntman Mike.
Yeah.
what a fantastic character this is in this movie.
And the thing with Kurt Russell, he used to do roles like that, but he hasn't for so long, and you brought that wild side back.
Well,
in Kurt Russell.
Well, it's funny because some people are saying, "So is you doing this like with Kurt Russell, like you do with John Travolta?" I go, "Well, I don't know if Kurt Russell needs my help that much. I'm doing pretty good." But there is that aspect. I remember it was like I don't know. Sometime around when he did that movie Dreamer, that horse movie with Dakota Fanning, I'm opening up the newspaper and I see he has like a silhouette shot on Magic Hour of Kurt Russell and Dakota Fanning and a horse just running, and I'm like, okay, when is Kurt Russell going to be a badass again? I want Snake Plissken back. What's going on here? I'm McCready from The Thing. And then when I came up with the idea of Stuntman Mike and I wrote the character, then I just kind of thought of Kurt, and then after I thought of him, I just couldn't put the monkey back in the box. It was like, that's the guy.
It's a great character. Great character.
Well, the movie, the whole thing ended up being, the whole Grindhouse experience ended up being kind of like this de facto tribute to John Carpenter, because Robert's movie, to me, feels like the lost John Carpenter movie in between Escape from New York and The Thing.
Yeah.
And he was even like playing like Escape from New York music, like during the shoot and everything. So he would like shoot a scene and he'd shoot a scene, then kind of do a quick cut on it and then show the actors. And then he would score it with like an iPod to Escape from New York music.
Wow.
So it actually felt like we were on a John Carpenter set the entire time. And then in that environment, go, hey, what about Kurt Russell for Stuntman Mike?
Yeah, and we want to explain to people it's a double feature, and the two movies are drastically different.
Yeah.
Robert Rodriguez, Planet Terror is a zombie slasher film with a lot of blood and guts, and the whole movie's pretty much dark. And then your movie, I noticed, most of it is in the daylight, which I thought was a nice twist, and a nice contrast to the first movie.
Yeah, well, one of the things that we did, and also something we were conscious about, when like a studio or these little exploitation studios would design these double features. If they were a horror double feature, oftentimes in the 70s, they would put like a more fantastical movie, like a monster movie or a werewolf or a vampire movie, with like a movie about a guy, stalking babysitters or a guy killing nurses or something like that. So there was like a horror film and a terror film playing together. And that was what me and Robert were talking about, was like, okay, Robert's film is a horror film because it couldn't happen. My film's a terror film because it could happen.
Absolutely could happen.
My father took me to see a double feature one time in the movie in the drive-in, and I forget what the first one was, but the second one was The Sensuous Nurse with Ursula Andress.
Oh, yeah, that's a good movie,
Yeah, but he wouldn't let me stay and watch it with him, which, thank God, that would have been creepy. You and your dad just checking for reactions.
Everybody that we've talked to about you says you just have this mind for everything as far as film goes, TV shows, music, and you could tell when you watch your movies that there are these niche little quirky things that it's like, how the hell did anyone even remember that?
Yeah, like when you look at it, you go, I forgot I ever knew that once.
Yeah. And I know, like, a lot of people say that I know a lot of stuff about like old television stuff, but that was because I spent time sitting in front of a TV my whole youth. Yeah. You seem more proactive, like perhaps you were doing something along with that. What was it like growing up? Because obviously it affected you the way you make films.
Well, it's funny. It's like I just, just the way like any kid, this kid like loves football and that's all he's about, or this kid loves baseball, or this kid loves cars and he's drawing cars all the time. I was always into movies and television shows, and that's always what I was really always like about. I even remember if I did something good or something like that, and my mom was going to do something nice for me. She'd say, okay, so I could take you to Magic Mountain, or I could take you to Disneyland, or I could take you to a movie. What do you want to see? But any movie I want to see? Yeah, Blazing Saddles. Because I couldn't get into Blazing Saddles by myself. And it was like, and she thought I was an idiot. But what kid chooses a movie? And by the way, I go to movies every weekend, so it's not like I don't go and see them. What kid chooses a movie over an amusement park? Well, I'll see Blazing Saddles. Yeah, let's go. Take me to see Blazing. She wouldn't see that on her own. And I always picked a movie. It was always what I was into.
Movies were a huge part. Me growing up, I remember at a movie theater like real close to my house. and we used to walk there and see things, and you could sit there all Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
You'd watch the same movie. I remember like Kelly's Heroes would be playing, and I just sit there and watch it like 3 times.
Oh, yeah. I actually remember when my parents would take me to the movies earlier on, or like my stepdad would take me to the movies by himself with me, and we'd go in there, and I'd like think, oh, you mean the adults could just sit here, and just man, when I grow up and I go, I'm going to watch the movie 5 times. Especially if it was like something that was really, really cool, like it's a mad, 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 mad world.
Oh,
it's
yeah, that was
man,
a great movie.
I want to see that 3 times while I'm here.
Yeah. Have you seen every movie?
I've seen a lot of them.
Like, here's maybe a weird question. What's a movie you've never seen that people would be surprised that you've never seen?
Oh gosh, that's a good question.
I mean, you go obscure, obviously, but maybe something that people would be like, Quentin hasn't seen Star Wars or something like that.
Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Leonard Part 6. All right.
Okay. I didn't see the last of the Lord of the Ring movies.
Oh, no kidding.
Return of the King, but there's actually a really good reason. A friend of mine from when I was doing Kill Bill. Friend of mine I met in China. She came out to America, and we saw the Two Towers movie together. And she'd read all the books like a couple of times. So when I watched the Two Towers, I enjoyed it so much more than I did the first one, because she was always kind of whispering in my ear and like, well, and this thing and the tree people and da 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 da. And so when the Return of the King came, I was like, I kind of want to see it with her. I don't want to see it.
Right.
And it's actually, I hadn't seen her in a couple of years, and I saw her like last week. I go, I've been holding off seeing Return of the King to see it with you. She goes, okay, but we got to see the extended version. I go, okay, I'm down. But that's one that I hadn't seen.
Yeah, that would be I would figure you would have seen that one.
I like the fact that you will credit people who you feel you've been influenced by. Like, you turned me on to John Woo.
Oh, yeah.
And the Chinese stuff he did, which was like The Killer. And,
A Better Tomorrow, Better Tomorrow 2.
What was the one where he slid down the banister, doing the Chow Yun Fat to slide down the banister?
Oh, yeah, that's that's Better Tomorrow 2, I think, yeah.
No, it's Hard Boiled. Yeah.
In stereo we did Hard Boiled.
Yeah, it was kind of cute. Promo. I would definitely, he credits people with that. And all those double gunshots and the guys pointing at each other. It was just really great
Well,
stuff.
Hard Boiled has that one moment where Chow Yun Fat gets covered with flour, and then he just puts the gun right at the guy's face, and bam, he shoots him off screen, and then blood just splashes his white face.
Hey, what about movie night? Can you talk about that a little bit? I've been reading about you for the last couple of weeks, and movie night at your house is supposedly just unbelievable.
Oh, it's pretty cool. It's pretty much
and will you invite us?
Yeah,
next time we're in LA.
Hey, you guys were in LA, but I'd be happy to. That would be cool.
All right, I think we'd lose our minds if we were invited to that.
He has no idea that we mean it, and all of a sudden him and his friends will be there, and it's our stupid, pathetic face at the door.
We'll have a 6-pack of beer.
Hey, you sound
we're here.
You sound like the perfect patron.
But what is movie night all about? Because that's where the Grindhouse thing kind of
it really was actually
came from.
Somewhere like around like 96 or so, I started collecting film prints. It was. In fact, it was funny. It's like just shows my movie junkiness. All right, like if you throw the trajectory, videotapes. Okay, that's pot. All right. Laserdisc and DVDs, okay, whoa, that's cocaine. But when you start collecting prints, that's heroin. Stuff's going right in your veins. So I started collecting prints, and I collect prints, all kinds of different prints. But also I do have a fondness for exploitation movies and grindhouse films, so I've been collecting those. And then I'll invite people over. I am like a frustrated theater manager. The way other people invite people over and make them dinner. No, I invite you over and show you a movie. Try to give you a good night that way. And so what I'll do is I'll come up with a double feature. Usually they're 2 movies that they go well together. They can be like-minded or not, or in the same genre or not. And but there's something that makes them work together, like a good evening. And then I have a whole bunch of trailers. So I handpick the trailers. I take them the order that they're going to go in. Now usually they have some link with the double feature as far as genre is concerned. Like if I'm showing 2 women in prison movies, I might be women in prison trailers there, or like they might have something to do with like the different actors in the different movies, or maybe even somebody in the audience. Okay, if you guys did a movie and I had a trailer for it, I'd stick that in there if you guys were over. And so And so that's this kind of whole little perfect little screening thing. And so Robert, I've been doing that for Robert for like 10 years now. Not only that, I've been going to Austin for about 10 years, and I do a little film festival. All right, it's like we're on the 7th one now. And literally, we're like, I bring 30 films, and they're all double features, and show them and pick all the trailers. And so when we came up with the idea of Grindhouse, Robert goes, this is going to be a night at your house, Quentin, but except we're doing it on a massive level, so we could like show you 3,000 people in one weekend, or 3,000 theaters in one weekend.
Here's a question I have for you too. What about Natural Born Killers did you not like that Oliver Stone did with it? Because you wrote that, right?
Yeah. Well, basically, they rewrote my script. That's first, foremost, and kind of you can stop right there.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
Yeah,
it's a pretty big problem.
I mean, my whole thing about it is, like, I know people, screenwriters in Hollywood, they rewrite them all the time, and that happens all the time. Not to me. So the minute it happened, I was like, you know what? I ain't going to play this game. He didn't have a right to do it. I would rather he stole it.
Right.
I'd rather he had stole what he won from it just so my name wouldn't be associated with it.
Was there a part of it that you hated that he did like the most?
Yeah, well, okay, there's one part. Okay, I've never sat down and watched the movie from beginning to end. All right, I went to the theaters once to see it, and then the scene that I'm going to say was so bad that I had to leave. Since then, I've like seen little bits of it on cable or something. But it was that horrible sitcom, I Love Mallory, with Rodney Dangerfield. And the way it was is like, I created these characters, and it kept a lot of my stuff. Basically, the funny stuff that's still in the movie is my stuff. But the thing is, I had top position on screenplay, and I would have got lots of money because that's where you get all the big royalties and all that stuff. For fear anybody would think I wrote that crap, I said, take my name off the screenplay. All right, I'll get story by because I came up with the names of Mickey and Mallory. I gave up money for integrity because I just didn't want anyone to think I wrote that.
You didn't see. I liked that scene. You didn't like that scene.
I hated that scene. But here's the deal about that, though. All right, it's not that like if you don't like that, if you like that movie, you're an idiot. Like a lot of people like that movie. I'll tell you one time that I started feeling better about it because I didn't like it for a long time. Me and Oliver have made up though. I walked into an elevator. Elevator opens up. Johnny Cash is in the elevator. I'm like, oh my God, Johnny Cash. So I walk in and go, oh, hey, you're Quentin Tarantino, aren't you? I go, yes, I am. Well, me and June, we really like your movies a lot. Oh, wow, that's really great. Well, I've been a fan of yours forever. We really like that Natural Born Killers.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So you
So,
you took the compliment that day.
That went a long way, I got to say. All right? That went a long way to, healing wounds.
Why don't you just remake the movie in your vision?
You know what? It's really funny. I actually thought about that about 3 years ago because I actually published my screen. Oliver Stone was actually kind of nice about even the fact we were fighting. He allowed me to, because he kind of had control over it. He allowed me to actually publish my original screenplay. So it's out there. You can get my original screenplay. And it is very, very different. I thought about that about 3 years ago. And, I might still do that one of these days. But kind of moving forward.
Yeah.
I would really have to run out of ideas for a while.
Who would you have cast, though? Or did you think that the casting was done well? Woody Harrelson and Juliette Lewis. Would you have cast?
No, I didn't like the casting of Woody Harrelson at all, actually, at the time. All right. Actually, since then, we've even been feuding about it. I'm not feuding, but he doesn't like me, and I don't, because he knows I don't like him. But actually, since then, he's actually been pretty good in some movies. I thought in Ed TV, he was really funny. But other than that, though, I wouldn't cast him in that at all. But Juliette Lewis, I thought, was terrific. Yeah. She actually is the closest to just her performance. Her vibe was the closest to any vibe that I had in my script was in her performance.
I thought that captured Rodney. One thing I liked about the sitcom scene, I thought it captured the real Rodney Dangerfield. Maybe a little bit of an exaggeration, but you always see him being fun and stuff and easy money, but then that creepy lecherous. I'm like, I bet you that's more what he was like. Like I thought you...
Well, that's one thing about it, actually, that I do. As much as I hate that scene, that probably is closer to the real Rodney.
Like I saw you in From Dusk Till Dawn, and I'm like, I'll bet you that is closer to Tarantino than any other movie. Is that psychopath character?
Well, I can go there.
You know what? A lot of people also talk about how you do take some actors out of obscurity and put them in there. And one that I think is, I'm amazed we hadn't seen more of this guy until you put him in movies. We remember him as Then Came Bronson.
Michael Parks.
Man. Michael Parks does such a good job in Kill Bill. It's amazing, and playing two characters.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't even know he was the guy at
the
first.
pimp.
The pimp. He does a great accent in that, and just his acting is really good. Where the hell did you get the idea of plucking him out of wherever he was? What was he doing?
Well, Michael Parks has always been one of my favorite actors. I mean, nobody was as cool as Bronson.
Oh, Bronson ruled.
He's the man.
Pack on the back of his bike going over that bridge.
Oh, yeah, exactly, man.
That's it, man.
No, it's like, I mean, God, if I was making movies back then, Michael Parks would have been the stars of them, all right? He was the man. And so I've always wanted to work with him for a long, long time. And the thing that's funny is the character he plays in Dusk Till Dawn, and the character he plays in Kill. It's the same guy. It's Texas Ranger Earl McGraw, and so I finally we finally cast him in me and Robert in Dusk Till Dawn, and that was the first time I'd worked with him. And it was funny because I write for Michael Parks now because most of my writing. It's supposed to be done fairly fast. It kind of has a His Girl Friday kind of patter to it, except for when Michael Parks talks. And then it's always just really slow and laconic, really stretched
He'll kind of look off and look around, and then the rest of the line will come out.
And then he always adds these little witticisms. I'm going to get higher in the Georgia pine. I'll tell you like the Lord told John. That stuff's great, Mike. Put it in there. So that was the first time, and then I put him in Kill Bill, playing the same guy. But I had one of these really interesting things that happened. To me, it's a very important day when you get together and you have a script reading with your cast, where everyone shows up and you sit around a table and you read the script for the first time with all the actors there. Now, invariably, there's always a few actors that can't make it. Now, that's okay. But in my movies, if you don't make it, somebody else did, and I'm going to notice it. And so I'm going to give your part to somebody else to read. And you know what? If I fall in love with them, you're out and they're in because they were there and you weren't.
Christ. Show up at Quentin's readings.
No kidding. How do you not?
I know.
Sorry,
how do you?
I'm busy.
What else do you
part
have
of my
to
point.
do?
All right.
What else do you have to do?
You're obviously a brilliant dialogue writer. I mean, brilliant dialogue writer. Is there any piece of dialogue you can grab, or one section that you go that is something that I want to be on my head? One of the best things you've ever written dialogue wise.
Yeah, I would actually say. Oh yeah, I think hands down. Actually, I think especially as far as my monologues are concerned. I mean, as far as the who's on first kind of back and forth thing. That's up to y'all to say, yeah, this was my favorite. That was my favorite. But as far as my monologues are concerned, I think it's the Dennis Hopper monologue in True Romance, the Sicilians.
Oh my
Where
God!
Where
Yes.
come from?
Stop.
That's the one. That's the one to beat. That's the one I know I haven't surpassed yet. But you know what? I'm writing a World War II kind of Dirty Dozen spaghetti western kind of thing, and I finally I got this one Nazi and he gives a monologue, and it was the first time. You know what? This is as good as that. I think I finally matched it. I don't know if I've topped it, but I think I finally matched it. But that's the one I'm writing now.
How great was Dennis Hopper's hand in that scene when he was just turning his hand left and right?
Yeah.
Huh?
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Hold the rag.
That is good. Oh, but what I was thinking about Michael Parks though was the thing that he was there playing Earl McGraw, and the guy that I had cast as the Mexican pimp didn't show up. So I said, "Okay, Michael, why don't you take it?" And then he turned around and did it so great. And my whole thing was one, he just blew us all away. And then I was like, you know what? I've always said that Michael Parks is one of my favorite actors. Yeah, I mean, really, in the top. I've always said he's as good as Dustin Hoffman. He's as good as Pacino. But you know what? Let me put my money where my mouth is, because you cast Dustin Hoffman to play Willie Loman, then you're going to also pay to have him turn, makeup wise, and have him, be a whole other person, look like an old guy. You cast Al Pacino to be this far out dude, then you're going to pay the money to get the wig and all this stuff and create him to let him be that way. No one's ever done that for Michael Parks before. He's always had to just kind of be Michael Parks. So I go, well, let me spend the money. Let's get the right wig and the right this and the right that. Let's turn him into this old Mexican guy, because he would be fantastic in it. And really, it's one of the best performances I've ever in any of my movies.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
He's not Michael Parks.
It's one damn scene, but it actually is one of the best pieces of acting in any of my movies.
Yeah, does an amazing job. I also have to ask you, because you're here, all kinds of things I couldn't find on the internet about this. The Vega brothers. There was this rumor that you were going to put out the movie The Vega Brothers about Michael Madsen and John Travolta's characters in some way, shape, or form. How it would be done is, beyond me, but is there any truth to that?
Well, I gotta say it's looking unlikely now.
Yeah.
All right.
They were supposed to be brothers?
Yeah.
I never connected that. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we never say it.
Right.
Yeah,
They both have the same last name. One's Vincent, one's Vic.
Could tell they were probably raised by the same people.
Yeah. And I actually even had a title for it. It was called Double V Vega.
Double V Vega.
And it actually would have taken place during the time that Vincent was in Amsterdam, when he was running one of Marcellus's clubs in Amsterdam, and Vic goes to visit him. When Vic would be Michael Madsen, and we're all a little older now.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And since they both died, it would have to be a prequel. Then I actually came up with a way I could have done it, even with them being older and dead, and I'll be revealing it right now for the first time because I probably won't do it.
Okay.
They all had older brothers, and I would have that both of their brothers got together because of the two guys died, and they wanted revenge or something like that.
Oh, okay.
But then now they're still too old for that.
My girlfriend even pointed out that your violence never seems violent. Like, you have this great way of not being offensive with violence. Like, you put comedy and violence together. Like, Madsen is going to set a guy on fire, and it's chilling and it's awful, and he's singing into a severed ear, and it's hilarious. He's talking to a severed ear. It's amazing how you mix comedy and violence and both work.
Well, it's kind of that's kind of actually. I think if you boil down everything I'm trying to do, that if you get it down to the final pearl that's left in the clam, it would be I'm going to make you laugh at stuff that's not funny. At the end of the day, that's the pearl. That what I'm trying to do at the end of the day. And so I'm also it's kind of almost what Grindhouse is all about. Is we're trying to orchestrate the audience. So it's like laugh, laugh, laugh. Stop laughing. Stop laughing. Stop laughing. Now you're really not laughing. Laugh now. All right. And then when you feel that in the audience, it's like you're a conductor.
There's a scene in Reservoir Dogs that I think is brilliant, and it's not like a very well-known scene, one of the scenes that people quote or something, but it brings the horror of what's going on with Michael Madsen and Nash inside the funeral home. When he walks out to get the gas, it's just this horror going on inside. And he opens the door, it's bright, you hear children playing, birds tweeting, and it brings the reality of it right to you, because you could be standing out there, you could be playing ball or just walking in a park, and yards away from you the ultimate nightmare is going on. And I thought that was amazing. It just brought it made it so real.
Thank you very much. Actually, that is one of my very favorite things about the movie, is actually that one part of that shot when because it's all kind of unbroken for a while,
right? Yeah.
And he just walks outside and it's like, whoa! You don't even realize how claustrophobic you'd become in there, and then they just like, whoa, what's going on?
Yeah, it was like a Dorothy coming out of the house and all its color. It's like in color
actually,
again.
There even is, and it was actually recorded in a park. There actually is, if you listen really closely, you can tell that there's like a father teaching two little kids how to play catch. You hear him like, 2 hands, honey, 2 hands.
It's just such a great, beautiful outside moment, and just the ultimate horror going on.
And I like the
loved
fact that you hear the music and then it's off for that whole time.
Right, yeah.
And then Susie opens her, you're
comes back and you're like, oh no.
Video from hell.
It's like I was out of it for a minute. Oh no, I'm back.
Is there anything that you would redo if you could redo it, like that you look back on and you go, I wish I had written that the way I first thought of it, or I wish I'd shot that the way I want? Like, is there anything you look back on and you're like, I wish I had done that different?
Nothing in a kind of way. The only thing is, I had one really, really cool little section in Kill Bill that I dropped out because the damn thing was just going to be too long anyway. If I had known I was going to split it in half, I could have put it in the first half. Live and learn. But it was kind of a cool character. It was the fact that Orin, the character that Lucy Liu played, she's the queen of the Yakuza. One of her, she had just hired this guy who was actually probably Michael Madsen might have even played him, head of her security. And one of the things is he doesn't wear the Lone Ranger mask. He doesn't wear the Kato mask. He has a mask on a stick, like Marie Antoinette or something. And it's like, well, how come you wear that rubber band F's up my hair? But the whole thing is okay, she fights the Crazy 88, fights them all, fights Go-Go, kills her. Only ones left is this guy. His name is Mr. Barrel. Mr. Barrel and Oren. And the bride and Mr. Barrel have already met once, in this club, and they had this little flirting thing. And so the thing is, now he's gonna have to fight her, and she's like, "Look, I'm telling you, don't fight me. She ain't worth it. Quit. That's what you should do right now is quit." And so they start talking a little bit back and forth. As opposed to fighting, they're talking. They're discussing it now. And Oren's like, "You idiot, kill her." And it's like, "You idiot." And the bride is like, oh, she didn't just say that. Oh, she called you an idiot in front of me? And you're going to fight for her? And, it's like, "You know what? You're right. I quit." It just walks out. And they exchange a phone number or something like that.
Hey, we got to either take a break or can you hang around? What's your schedule?
I'm cool.
Oh, good.
Really?
Nice.
Yeah. All right, because we want to talk about Grindhouse a little bit. The phones are going nuts. The obvious question everyone wants to ask is, what's in the briefcase?
Jesus.
Yeah, keep asking.
Yeah, I know, exactly.
For 12 years, I'm going to break down to this morning.
Yeah, it's going to be today.
This is really cool. We got Quentin Tarantino in studio. Grindhouse opens Friday. We'll talk about the movie a little more after the break. It's Opie and Anthony. You're checking out the Opie and Anthony show. We're talking to possibly best guest ever, Quentin Tarantino in studio.
Oh, shucks.
Grindhouse opens this Friday. Jimmy and I went last night. He's bringing the double feature back. And during the commercial, he gave us some inside info, and I'm just blown away. I promise I wouldn't say anything, though.
Yeah, we have to keep it radio-free.
I had to sign something, but maybe down the road we'll talk about that.
Just say there was a car scene that was shot so well that my palms were sweating watching it. It was really uncomfortable to watch this car scene, and you got to go see it.
Yeah, he directs the second movie. So.
Yeah.
We were talking about
Death
old movies, too, that kind of inspire you. Vanishing Point, one of them. I thought that movie was... I just watched it recently, and what a blast from the past. And I love how there was that girl naked on the motorcycle for apparently no reason.
For no reason at all.
Just have a nude girl.
Can I jump in for a sec? Yeah. That's exactly what I told Anthony when I came in, and I just ranting and raving about Grindhouse. I'm like, know what he did? And I forgot all about it. I'm sitting in the theater, and all of a sudden there's just a girl topless. I'm like, and I used to love that about the movies. Every movie had that one girl topless for no reason, but the PC police took that out of movies, and you brought it back with Grindhouse. Also, I'm like, yeah, cool. She's naked. It doesn't mean anything in the storyline, but you know what?
But
that's
hey,
awesome.
Who cares? It's cool.
It's awesome.
It's just awesome. As a guy, it's just awesome. You don't need any storyline for her to be naked.
Well, one of the things that was so great about Grindhouse movies is they really existed outside of Hollywood. I mean, sometimes very much so because they were like Italian movies or Spanish movies or something. But the thing is, they might be cheap, they may be this, they might be bad. You didn't know. You pay your money, you take your chances. But you did know you had the possibility of seeing something other than that you wouldn't see in a Hollywood movie.
Yeah.
And some of those images really they scarred me in a good way. They're there and did I even see that? Is that even possible? So that was really what we were going for. But one of the things that I have explained to Robert about Grindhouse movies is, in almost every exploitation movie, just know a lesbian scene could be just right around the corner.
Yes.
Didn't matter what genre it was, a lesbian scene could be around any corner. Didn't mean it was going to happen, but it could happen at any moment. Two chicks could just strip naked and just start making out.
And there's a little of that out of nowhere.
Hey, great,
And then
man.
actually, in right at the beginning, Robert threw it in Rose McGowan's dance. You had the scene where she's licking her own tongue in the
On the
mirror.
mirror.
And it looks like two girls.
Quentin, can I tell you something? I know that wasn't the movie you directed, but the opening scene of this whole Grindhouse experience, I mean, guys were at the theater with dates. Thank God, like I said, my girlfriend was at school. You could hear guys like gulping and going... One of the hottest scenes to open up a movie. There was just something about that.
My girlfriend was there, and she looked at her and punched her in the face.
And Rose McGowan never got naked in the opening scene.
Yeah.
But it didn't matter.
It didn't
It was
matter.
so erotic, and it just kicked off the whole experience nicely, man.
Well, it was one of those things where people have been asking us, was there a reason why, like, Robert started it and mine ended it? Mine ended the movie. And, it just always kind of fell in that way. But in particular, the part of the reason was because his movie starts with that scene. Well, that's a great way to just start the night off. There you go. We're starting the night off with a bang. And then mine ends with the car chase. So that's the way to end it, man.
Absolutely.
So it was a perfect ending and the perfect beginning.
Greatest car crash scene to date you filmed.
Oh, hey, that's a big props, man. I
In
appreciate it.
Death Proof. I mean, right? The car crash. I mean, you think car crash. No, he takes it to a whole new level, and that's all I'll say. A whole new level with the car
Tire on
crash scene.
face, always good. I couldn't get off. I was so happy. I just wanted to stop the movie and freeze.
Tire on face is just always a bummer.
You cannot lose with a tire on the face.
I have to say, I think you celebrate the car crash in your movie.
Yeah, it's like, it's right on the car crash porno shelf. All right.
I want to speak in broad strokes here,
Right,
but you pretty much celebrate the car crash.
Pretty much.
It was the deep throat of car crash.
Right.
In case you didn't see it the first time, I give you 4 other chances to show it to you.
And the movie ends with a nice twist. I'll say that much.
You know
Nice
what's
twist.
also cool? The different genres. Obviously, you were raised not on one genre of movie. The Asian movies with Kill Bill. A lot of people were a little suspect of that at first. They're like, "What the hell is Quentin doing?" Where's another Pulp Fiction? You know.
Yeah.
And then you came out with that. Originally, I was a little thrown by that, and now Kill Bill, both of them are like on my top movie list.
Oh,
I love it. It took a couple of times of watching it.
Yeah.
And now whenever it's on, boom.
Oh, man.
It's
Gotcha,
like,
got
yeah,
scene,
it's
right?
like there are a few movies that fall into that category. Alien,
Yeah.
things like that. Where if it's on, I gotta watch it. That's one of them. You talking about doing a war movie?
Yeah.
Now that's a completely new genre.
Yeah.
That people don't know you for. Any challenges? Anything? What type of Quentin personality is injected into this?
Well, it's like all my movies are like very, even though I'm working inside a genre, all my movies are very, very personal. So it's going to be a Quentin movie, all right? It started off sort of like a like my version of the Dirty Dozen, not a remake, but just bunch of guys on a mission.
Right, right.
Those 60s war movies, bunch of guys on some suicide mission. The psycho, the rapist, the this, the that, the sergeant.
Those movies were great too. They would take all afternoon on a Sunday with the commercials.
Kowalski.
Yeah, exactly. It would be a 4 or 5 hour movie on TV on a Sunday, but you didn't mind.
Then you had the actors to do it. I mean, just think when they did the Dirty Dozen, without even trying hard, they threw a rock on a tree and Jim Brown falls out. John Cassavetes falls out. Charles Bronson's hanging there. He falls out. Richard Jacob. We're not even talking about Lee Marvin. You don't even get to Lee Marvin. Bronson, Brown, my God. So it's like, those had the guys, man.
Yep.
So, but what it's become as I've been writing it more and more and more is, it's kind of big, sprawling epic. It's become my spaghetti western, but with World War II iconography, which makes sense because that's the one time in the 20th century that really was a no man's land, especially if you're in Nazi-occupied territory. And so the movie's called Inglourious Bastards, but it has a subtitle, and the subtitle to bring the spaghetti western, aspect of it to the fore. Once upon a time in Nazi-occupied France.
God damn.
You're nuts, man. I love it.
And it's I was talking about the subtleties before that I love in your movie, and another scene. This was in Pulp Fiction. After that whole goddamn coffee scene at your house, the character that you played. when the wolf just tips his cup to you.
Yeah.
Goddamn brilliant. It's so subtle. And that coffee scene was such a big scene. And he just acknowledges it with the little nod and the tip of the cup, like, this is good. Goddamn brilliant, man.
Yeah, so it's an interesting character, too. Like, Wolf was such an interesting character. This guy who all these murderers respect, who's going to clean up this mess, is this polite cornball who likes a good cup of Joe and makes little jokes with the gal.
Exactly. It's those subtleties, man, that just make it gold, man.
Actually, one of my favorite little moments in there is, like, you have to watch it a bunch of times to catch it, is when the wolf is on the phone when they're calling him about going and cleaning up the mess. Seems to be at a cocktail party at 7 a.m.
Right.
That's all good. Which I got, one of these days I got to be cool enough to have a cocktail party at 7 a.m.
7, wear a tux, still looks great.
And he's like, they're like, they're like, okay, so here's what happened. This has happened. This happened. So he's just making a note, all right, of just writing down the big high points. So he's like, Jules, black. Vincent, white. One body, no head.
No head. His little notepad.
The fact that you had Marcellus Wallace be raped with a ball in his mouth and somehow pull it off that he was going to win. That's the amazing part, was that not only was he brutally raped, but then he gets the line, I'm going to get medieval.
Right.
And comes back and he wins. It was really amazing, these character things you do.
Yeah, actually, get evil on my ass. That's my show me the money. that's my little catchphrase, I think.
Yeah.
Out of all of them, that's the one that kind of entered the consciousness. That's a good one to have, though.
Yeah.
And kind of Bruce Willis's character was... You didn't quite see that Bruce Willis until Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
And then he kind of was doing that character a little more. Before that, it was more of the jokey, smirking kind of...
like Hudson Hawk,
right.
kind of guy.
That, and from what I've read, you kind of told him, I don't want to see any smirking smiles. I don't want to see that Bruce Willis.
No, but it's actually, it is kind of funny. Bruce really, that really showed him off in a whole different light, even though it actually doesn't, he's not that different than he was from his action movies, but he kind of just acted more like a cool 50s actor.
Right.
To me, he reminded me of Aldo Ray, an old actor I always loved. And Bruce Willis actually is one of the few actors who's a star that I could imagine being a star in the 50s. Mm-hmm. I could see him as a Glenn Ford, kind of star. And but yeah, he. After he did Pulp Fiction, he actually really took that ball and kind of ran with it. Then started doing other movies with other directors he admired and stuff.
Yeah.
And I've been really proud of his career.
And I'm not going to ask you the obvious question, which I think is the hack Pulp Fiction question. What's in this case? What's the gold thing in the case? Just leave it alone. Let it sit. Read the internet to figure it out. What I want to know is, did Bruce Willis's character key Vince's car?
Oh, yes, and that's very good on your part.
Okay, all right.
That's very good reading between the lines.
Good, good. All right. I figured that because he was pissed at him.
Yeah.
Punchy.
Right.
That whole exchange is just great. And he kind of looks at him and you know he had to get back at him.
Yeah, to me, like the subtext going on there is you have the two stars of the movie, and they can't share a frame together.
Yeah.
They just the minute that they actually share the same frame together, they get mad at each other. It's like two Elvises can't meet, or else the world stops.
Yep. Brilliant, man.
And Samuel Jackson, the speech he put, it's amazing how many things that you do that just all of a sudden are a part of pop culture, man. I mean, that's probably the most famous thing he's done on film, is that character, is that speech he would made.
When did you know that film was going to be as huge as it became?
Well,
because it was so much different than anything else that came out.
Well, it's actually funny because I didn't have a whole lot of perspective on it for the simple fact that it's like, I made it. We showed it to a couple of audiences. I showed it to some friends, but we were rushing to get it done in time for the Cannes Film Festival. And we only finished it. Okay, here's a print. We've got it done. Okay, I got a print we can show. About 7 days before the festival started. So it's not like I made it and had it was kind of leisurely about it. No, we had just done it. And then I go to France and I go see it at the Cannes Film Festival, really for the first time since we were done. And then we win the Palme d'Or. And so then I'm on the whirlwind tour on it. So it was like
Amazing.
really.
I just finished this.
Yeah,
thing.
it really did. And so like, but they winning the Palme d'Or helped the movie out so much because. It could have been debated. It could have been this. It could have been that. But that and the whole violent issue, that just stopped it all. I mean, we won the best prize you can win in cinema.
And people were questioning the casting with John Travolta because people, it's like, oh, the Look Who's Talking, baby talking movie guy is going to be in this, and you took him, and obviously. You do have, like Jimmy said before, this talent of bringing stuff out of actors that no one has seen before or expects. It's amazing.
It's a vision because that's taking a massive chance on your little baby.
Well, it's funny. It's just like I'm just a good caster. All right, most of the.
But who would know John Travolta? That's what I'm trying to say. I mean that you got it out of him.
Well, but I remember. I remember more than just Vinny Barbarino. I always thought he was fantastic. One of my favorite movies is the Brian De Palma movie Blowout. I love Blowout.
Yeah,
He's
right on.
fantastic in Blowout. I love him in that. So it's like, oh, if he did that, he can do this.
Nancy Allen, right?
Yes, exactly.
Remember after Dress to Kill, how sexy she was before stupid Michael Caine tried to attack her and she blocked the whole thing? Really, a lovely girl.
I know, like, Michael Caine ruins a perfectly good strip scene.
I can't tell you. Growing up on cable, I would always watch certain scenes. You know what I mean, and to get to get ready to go. And that was one of them. And there was a strip scene in Stir Crazy where there was a little ass wiggle.
Was there also another? This is just finally getting my curiosities taken care of. A little self-serving, but that scene, John Travolta, Uma Thurman sitting there, and she's describing how every episode of her failed TV series would end with her telling a joke.
Yes.
Was that an homage to Welcome Back, Kotter, where Gabe Kaplan at the end would tell his wife a joke every time? Every time I watched that, I was like, see, I think he might have thrown that in as a little homage.
God, no, I didn't do that on purpose, but that completely works.
It does.
That completely works. No, to me, that was just like the kind of gimmicky thing that a female secret agent show would have.
It was every episode of Welcome Back, Kotter.
Yeah, but you're right. John never thought about that. I can't wait to tell that to him.
You should lie from now on.
A lot of television.
That was a brilliant question.
Hey, I'm sad to say we got to get him out of here. Quentin,
man.
Best guest ever, man. This has been a
this
lot
has been
of
so
fun.
much fun. I'm sorry that I'm getting the vaudeville hook.
I'm thinking we might become friends now.
Yeah, I think so too.
Anytime you're in New York, please. Anytime you got free reign here.
Oh, you got it, man. You got
Love to have you back.
Let's give Grindhouse the big plug. So it's a double feature. What do you want to say about it, Quentin?
Oh man. Well, the thing about it is like, it's hard to just take the forum and just not just sound like you're hyping stuff up. But the one thing I can say about Grindhouse, man, you go and you pay your money, you're going to have a night out at the movies. I mean, you're not just renting a seat, movie's over, get the hell out. You're going to know you saw something that night.
You will talk about it.
Yeah, definitely.
It was a great movie, and man, thanks for coming in. You were fantastic.
Absolutely.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure.
Love it.
Grindhouse premieres Friday, and
our audience,
great.
for the most part, will love this movie. I mean, I know that's like just saying, but we know our audience that they're going to love.
They're degenerates and they're
psychopaths.
Well,
and that means they're my audience.
They're all stuntman Mike.
They're our audience.
Picture stuntman Mike, but 300 pounds with a worse mullet.
The Opie and Anthony audience must be at this theater. Well, yeah. But we love them. We love them. Yeah. Grindhouse opens this Friday. Quentin, this has been beyond a pleasure. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
We'll continue. It's Opie and Anthony.